Hello you guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome to today's full house deep clean with me. A deep clean is such a great way to start the year, and after the holidays it felt like our house was chaos. We had been hosting guests for over a week and then I got pneumonia and everything on my typical household task to-do list pretty much fell to the wayside during that time. So in this video, join me as I get things back in order for the new year and start to work through my household deep clean to-do list over the course of a few days. The first thing on the to-do list was laundry. We have two toddlers, a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old, and they are so messy when they eat. So I usually do one load of laundry per day, but being sick, I had piles and piles to catch up on of both their things, but also my husband and I's. So my favorite way to catch up on laundry when I've seriously fallen behind is to wait until nap time, throw on a podcast I love, and basically just start working away at separating out each item by family member. Usually, my preferred way to sort laundry is to actually do it in the room of the person who owns the clothing item. So I'll only ever fold it in our bedroom or in our kids' room. But sometimes when you just have piles and you don't want to transport as many things back and forth, you got to do what you got to do. So I got all of the laundry done, and next up it was time to tackle the bathrooms. I did do a thorough clean of our guest bathroom before the holidays, but one space that I just did not get to in time was the bathroom in Jared and I's bedroom. And at this point, it was really time for a deep clean. Since I prefer to use products in our house that have clean ingredients, I often do get questions about what I use for cleaning specifically, and that's why I'm excited to be working with Blueland on this video. Blueland's products are free of phosphates, chlorine bleach, parabens, VOCs, ammonia, triclosan, inflatates, and they're also hyperallergenic and sourced from vegan, non-GMO ingredients. I have their Clean Essentials kit, which comes with a glass and mirror cleaner, a multi-surface cleaner, a bathroom cleaner, and a foaming hand soap. And I also just got their toilet tablets, which are amazing and so easy to use. The toilet is always one of those nasty areas that hangs on to bacteria, and with Blueland's sustainable toilet cleaning tablets, all you have to do is drop the tablet in, let it fizz, brush, and then flush. All of Blueland's products are planet friendly. They use no single-use plastics, and product refills come in the form of tablets that you drop into your original bottles to minimize waste. We've been using Blueland in our home for about 4 months now, and I love that I can trust that the products are all naturally derived and cradle-to-cradle certified, which is the global standard for products that are safe, circular, and responsibly made. If you're looking to make the switch to naturally derived cleaning products this year, or simply want to reduce your household's environmental impact, Blueland has a special offer for viewers of my channel. All you have to do is click the link in my description box to get 15% off your first kit. I definitely recommend that you check them out, and thank you so much to Blueland for working with me on today's video. Another one of the tasks that very much needed to happen on this day was a deep clean of our walk-in shower. This is my first time having a walk-in shower, and while I absolutely love this thing, it's also one of the trickiest spots in our house to clean. Our property is on a well, and so we get hard water buildup that makes the grime and the soap scum so tricky to remove. So I actually invested in a little scrubbing tool from Amazon that helps me avoid having to get on all fours and basically just spend forever scrubbing all of the surfaces down. So I'll put a link to it in the description box because it saves me so much time cleaning this space and gets in all of those little cracks and crevices. So I'll definitely link that for you guys. But on this day, I also had a lot of hard water staining to clean off of the glass doors. And to do that, I mixed together a mixture of dish soap and vinegar. I would say that it's about a cup each. And then using a clean rag, I basically just cover the glass doors in that mixture, let it sit for about 15 minutes on a timer. And I find that this works like a charm to get rid of the hard water staining on glass. Next up, it was time to give bathroom number 2 a good deep clean. So this actually happened the next morning because one thing about doing a full house clean with 2 toddlers is that it takes time. I don't have all day to clean as a stay-at-home mom. I don't think most stay-at-home moms do. And I used to think that it wasn't possible to deep clean the house with toddlers, but I've learned that if you split the tasks up over the course of a few days and are okay with not everything being perfectly clean at once, having a clean house is still possible. You just have to be more patient with it. After the main bathroom was cleaned up, it was time to tackle the guest room now that all of our guests have left. So I pulled together all of the extra blankets that guests had used during the week. I stripped the bedding in there to tackle the linens now that most of our personal laundry piles had been tackled, and basically just gave this room a little reset. So I wiped down surfaces, did a little vacuum, and re-prepared the room for the next guest that may come to stay. Next up was the kids' room. I didn't necessarily need to do a deep clean of this space on this day, but it certainly needed a quick tidy and reset, as it usually does at least once per day, if not multiple times. There are lots of random things that just get scattered around in here, so I did a quick pickup and collected some toys that don't actually live in this room, and then made my toddler's bed for her today as well, since she was feeling a little bit under the weather. This day also happened to be the day that we decided to take Christmas down. We waited a couple days into January this year because of all the sickness in our household, so I was 1,000% ready to say goodbye to the tree on this day. I also pulled down all of the garland, the stockings, collected any Christmas themed decor items around our house to be packed up and put back into storage in our garage. Our house felt 10 times bigger and more open by the time this was all said and done, and it honestly felt so good. Later on this day, my Christmas present from my husband arrived. I got a new vacuum that I got on sale to replace our Dyson that stopped working forever ago. I basically just kept buying replacement parts for it that ended up being more than the cost of like a brand new vacuum. So I decided to finally bite the bullet and just invest in a new vacuum, a new brand altogether. Some of you may know that I also have a Tyneco wet dry vacuum, and I love it, but it's not meant to be used on carpets, and we don't have a ton of carpet in our house, but we do have ruggables, so I've been in need of a regular vacuum for a while that is lightweight and cordless for tackling all of the toddler crumbs throughout the house. I got this one on a huge sale on Amazon, and what sold me was the fact that it had a light feature so I could see things on the floor a lot better. And you guys, I am obsessed. I am vacuuming all the time now because it's so much easier than using the massive corded one, but also because watching all the crumbs disappear with that light on is just so satisfying. It had been forever since we had moved our couch pieces apart and did a good vacuum underneath, so this was my time to say goodbye to all of the under the couch Cheerios. I also took the opportunity to test out the longer vacuum attachment for this, which worked so well for vacuuming dust off of baseboards and some of the trickier to reach spots behind our couch. Before I moved the couch pieces back, I took the opportunity to wipe down the frames behind the couch while I had full access to them. They were honestly so nasty. They didn't look dirty at a glance, but the tops of the frames hadn't been dusted in a while, so this was a much needed refresh for those two. All right, we are now on day 3, which was my final day of full house cleaning, but also the day that I happened to cross the most to-dos off of my list. On this day, I had a bunch of tasks, both small and big, that were things I considered to be more deep cleaning things and don't get to nearly as often as something like a bathroom clean. The first thing on the list was emptying out the filter in our washing machine. If you didn't know it, most front-loading washing machines have a filter with a little pump guard in it that is actually meant to be cleaned out every 3 months, and it had certainly been longer than 3 months when I did this. All you have to do is disconnect the little black pump from the inside of the filter door and let the water drain out into a small bowl. The water from this when I did it wasn't too gross, but there definitely were some little chunks floating around, which was certainly kind of freaky. I also unscrewed the machine's filter, pulled out any debris, and gave that a really good wash because there were some things caught in there as well. Next up was a similar task, which is cleaning the dishwasher filter. This is another one of those spots that can get so nasty, but sometimes people don't even realize that it needs to be cleaned out. And this is an area that I try to clean monthly, but sometimes I honestly just forget about it. At the bottom of your dishwasher, there is a little filter attachment. You should be able to just unscrew that and remove it. And when you take it out, you'll see a little plastic filter that basically just collects the grime from your dishes and sometimes pieces of food that haven't been properly filtered out of the machine. So I gave this a good scrub down with hot water and soap before putting it back in the machine. And this is another way to make sure that your dishwasher is able to do its job properly. Once the filters were all cleaned out, I decided to tackle some dusting around the house. I usually use a Swiffer tool to dust along the baseboards in our house. Baseboards are another one of those spots that can be so frustrating to clean because they're low to the ground, and because they're typically white, they show everything. But having a tool like this makes it so much easier if you want to avoid having to clean on all fours. I also love it for reaching some of those trickier to reach higher up spots. It has an extendable arm on it, so I can get to those areas that might otherwise go undusted, like along light fixtures, but also along the ceiling and high up on walls where cobwebs and dust can collect. While I was dusting, I noticed that our outlet covers could also use a little bit of love, but since these areas are so much smaller, I used a clean rag to clean them and some water to wipe them down and basically just removed any dust. Call me crazy, but a few months ago I actually went through to every light switch plate in our house and used a toothpick to remove any grime that was stuck between the cracks, like along the light switches. And honestly, it was such a gross process. I had never done that since moving into our house last year, and I actually pulled so much dust out from between the cracks that day. So highly recommend trying that out if it's not something you've ever done before. At this point, I was sweating. I'm 23 weeks pregnant, so I decided to take a little break and work on a stationary chore that I had on the list, which was folding up any leftover summer clothes. I try and do this every year for my husband and I just to make more space in our closets and keep our drawers more functional. It doesn't take very much time at all to take a look at what you won't be wearing until the warmer months, and then I just pack everything away into the garage until it's time to pull it back out again. Next on the list, another one of those chores that people just seem to love to hate: cleaning the oven. I started by removing the grates from the top and wiping down the surface around the ranges, which is something that I typically do once per day just to keep the area looking clean. Earlier on this day, I also ran the oven's self-cleaning function for about 3 hours to burn off any crusted on food on the inside and make it easier for me to wipe down later. This oven is actually brand new to us, but I put it through the ringer over the holidays, and I baked a pie in here that dripped down to the bottom of the oven like crazy. So this was my first time using the self-cleaning function on it, and it did a way better job than I was anticipating to burn all of that off so I could just wipe the bottom and the doors up easily. Last but not least, the final task on my to-do list was the biggest task that I had to tackle. So I enlisted the help of my husband after our kids were asleep at like 9 p.m. Our laundry room has been in need of a serious cleanup for months now. This space has been used kind of like a working room for the past year while my husband has been renovating our basement. But now that that renovation is done, I am so over having it being a space that I immediately want out of every time I walk in, and there was a lot of work that needed to be done to clean it up. So we had to remove some garbage that was stored in here after the holiday and just things that have collected in this space for a while. We sorted through the cupboards and we migrated anything that was reno related into our garage and just figured out what things that were in here needed to be dealt with. Needless to say, there's been a lot of random stuff in here for a while that just really needed to go. Between the two of us, it took about an hour, but we were able to get the room back into working order relatively quickly. And now it does feel like it's a real laundry room / kind of like storage space for cleaning stuff. And someday I would honestly love to give this space a makeover and make it like the little laundry room of my dreams. But for now, being able to see the floors and the countertops is a huge first step. That task marked the end of my full house deep clean list. Thank you guys so much for joining me on the ride. Reminder that if you want to check out Blueland's products, all you have to do is head to the link in my description box. Thank you again to Blueland for working with me on this video. And until my next video, I love you guys. I'm praying for you guys, and I will see you soon. Bye.